This is Just Ask George, exploring the universe of corporate finance and capital formation for your business enterprise, with merchant banker George Lovato Jr. and your host, David Wolf.
Welcome back to Just Ask George. David Wolf here, affiliate banker with BH Capital, and the head dude,
me.
That's you. I'll go underneath.
Guess what?
George Lovato.
We have, through the magic of TV, somewhere here, we have Philippe de la Chapelle again on our program. How are you, sir?
I'm very well. We're expecting a bit more snow tomorrow, but otherwise there's a pulse.
You're looking well. You're looking dapper today.
Thank you. I feel dapper. It's for this occasion, George. Have no illusion. We normally dress a lot more casually.
Now, I had the good fortune of visiting you in New York a few weeks ago, and just as an aside, Doria, your lovely wife of 36 years.
Who's counting?
Who's counting? She just released a new book.
She did indeed.
Oh, well, be sure if you didn't, give her my congratulations on that. And to you, because, as they say, with author spouses, they go through the birthing of the book as well.
They have, and we go through the experience as well. And as you know, it's more painful for us than for them.
Exactly. Well, today we decided to have Philippe back to discuss something fun and exciting, which is the opportune time to sell your privately held business.
The time to do it.
The time to do it. And so Philippe's going to talk about that, and he's going to tell us why now is such a great time to sell your business.
Well, the reason is fairly clear that the level of economy has improved somewhat over the recent recession we've had. The stock market is very strong, and as companies are doing better, what we're finding is that private company owners are now once again thinking about their exit options, and they have a lot of them because, as you know, the logical buyers, which are the strategic buyers or the financial players, family offices, etc., are laden with cash. There's a huge amount, hundreds of billions of dollars available out there looking for opportunities. And since interest rates are low, banks are starting to lend a little bit more. These folks have an enormous appetite, and we as investment bankers are trying to work with those private companies to see if we can find them some appropriate options that they may want to explore. They may not want to do anything right away, but they can certainly explore it, and now's a good time to start exploring.
Interesting that you say that there's a lot of capital sitting on the sidelines. Who's harboring that capital? Give us some examples. Are these hedge funds? Are these banks? Are these managed investment funds? Where does all that? What's the sort of spread or array of where that capital exists?
Private equity firms, I understand, have some $500 billion in capital available. And that's because, these folks go out and raise multi-billion-dollar funds on an annual basis. And so there are a lot of them. They've been growing fairly rapidly. And as people are not getting the kind of returns they are by, the usual type of rates they get in their savings account, what have you, a lot of them are investing in these funds, putting their cash to work, and hopefully getting better returns.
Now, are there industry segments, Philippe, that you're seeing sort of pop up on your radar screen that are more appealing now than others, or industry segments that where businesses are more likely to be sold?
Well, the consolidating industries, or a number of them, the farmers are doing a lot of consolidating, drug companies, lumber companies. The housing market is very strong right now. New housing starts are up. And so what we look for are those companies that have a consolidating mode and are looking for target opportunities.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the typical transaction, walk us through the process once you make contact with that company. Let's talk about it from this side. The company that's looking to buy a company, or the fund that's looking to buy a company. How do they normally approach you?
They approach us to find and vet for them those companies that we think are an appropriate target. And what they look for essentially is to find a management that have prepared themselves for a sale. You know, one of the major reasons why companies fail is because it's through lack of planning. Even if you're not ready to sell, you should be planning. So what these companies look for are companies that have their house in order, that have no regulatory issues, that understand their taxes situation, their management situation, their competitive situation. And what we do as investment bankers is basically show these potential buyers what the company is all about. And we prepare a fairly extensive documentation which really fully explores not only what the company is, its history, but also its potential. That's critical. And we have, as a result of being in business for many, many years, been able to establish quite a good reputation with a lot of these folks.
Now, does management, in the case of pre-existing management in these private companies, do they have a tendency to stay on, or are they looking for a complete and total exit?
That's an interesting question. If it's a financial player, for instance, that really does not have any current involvement in a particular business, they would very much like to keep current management on. They view that, as we do, as an asset, because somebody's got to operate the company, and these folks that are really financial buyers do not have the expertise with the suppliers and competitors, etc., to run a business. However, if it's a large strategic company that's buying into that business, clearly they may have their own management they want to put in there, and they'll probably keep the existing management on for a period of time.
In terms of the financial play, the financial buyer, they're looking to you to provide some valuation guidance on the business, correct?
Yes, they want us to basically explore and identify what the company is all about. And what we do is basically prepare the information based on what the company and its professionals tell us about the company, warts and all. We want to make sure that there's a complete picture that's outlined for a prospective buyer. The buyer will do their own due diligence and investigation, obviously. But our role at HT Capital as investment bankers is to make sure that with the existing professionals, the current lawyers that they have, the current accounts that they have, we prepare a very comprehensive information memorandum, if you will, on this company's results.
Now, in terms of that strategic buyer, you stated earlier, you said that they wanted to look at the company's potential. So give us a sort of a run through a scenario on how these companies are viewing that. They're looking to add value to their, post-purchase?
Sure. But often they're looking for a number of potentially advantageous moves in terms of buying this company. It may be a geographic footprint that they want, that they're not currently in, for instance, that they just prefer to buy rather than try and establish their own. It may be some key product or services that a company has that they need to have. It may be key management that they would like to bring in and run their own division from the acquired company, if you will. So we see a number of those different scenarios, and obviously the synergies. When a large strategic company comes in, they can bring all kinds of benefits to the existing operation in terms of buying power and what have you for all kinds of services.
Right. When you're walking through the process of evaluating the company and preparing that memorandum, generally, how long does that take?
It can take 3 to 4 months as a minimum. And the reason it does that is because companies that are preparing themselves for sale have to be very thorough. This is not a brokerage transaction. This is a sale. It's a one-time event. The owners have taken a lifetime, basically, to build this company. They have to take the time to really present it fully. And to do that, you have to work with their existing lawyers, their existing accountants, advisors, etc., to make sure that there's a very complete and truthful presentation of what this company presents. And we also like to discuss with management what their vision of the future is, where they expect the company to be in a year, 2 years, or 5 years from now. And it has to benefit not only the strategic buyer, but also the owner's expectation. Often we find the owners are very concerned about their employees. Where is this company? Is it going to move? What's going to happen to it after a strategic buyer takes it over? And really, it's a question of a reality check in terms of what can be done with both buyer and seller.
Do you find that there is kind of a seller's remorse once they realize that the potential of the transaction closing is imminent?
What we have, and sometimes there's some family members that are part of the selling group. Some are paid to stay away from the company, as you know. Others are active. So some sellers, obviously, this is really a very it's a once in a lifetime experiment. It's got to be done properly, and what we like to do is to make sure that the seller really understands that going forward, they will no longer own or control that company, but that will be their legacy, and they should want that company's legacy to be successful. And it's up to them to make sure they pass the baton, if you will, to some folks that will hopefully maintain what that company's done. And in fact, in many cases, will save that company from some competition, will preserve jobs, will do any number of very important things for the company, which is the owner's legacy. So there is some seller's remorse, but a good golf game can help attenuate that.
You're a master at that, keeping them focused.
But it's important from a human side to understand precisely that. I like to think that I don't have a license as a psychologist. I like to think that I try to put myself in the owner's shoes and really see what the advantages are to that owner and to his company and to his family in doing the right thing.
Right. Dave, you were going to say something?
I was going to ask, are there any particular highlights about the structural part of the capitalization amidst these kinds of transactions, I believe?
Well, many of the buyers want to buy the assets of the company as opposed to the stock of the company because, as you know, when you buy stock, you also buy all the known and unknown liabilities. So what I find is that it's best to make sure that the seller is on a level playing field with the buyer's team. This is a team effort by both sides. We know the buyer is going to be a large institution, financial or strategic. We know that the seller usually has local attorneys, tax accounts, and the like. What we like to do is to make sure that from a professional basis, that the seller is represented not only with its existing team, but also supplemented with folks that are in the business of engaging in these types of transactions to make sure the structure is as beneficial to the seller as it possibly can be.
In what would you say the instance is that when the buyer comes in, buys the business, that there's additional financing that needs to be provided after the acquisition? Is that relatively low?
That happens a great deal because the reason for the acquisition in the first place is that there's a growth strategy in the mind of the buyer. And so they bring in their capital, they bring in their resources, whatever they happen to be, to develop the opportunity that hopefully the previous owner had identified and we'd picked up and put in this memorandum that I mentioned, so that we can grow the company the way the owner would have wished that he had been able to grow or she had been able to grow the company had it not been sold.
That's interesting. Yeah. let's get some coordinates, Philippe. What is the HT Capital website address?
It's htcapital.com, and you can reach me at p.delachapelle@htcapital.com. And what we'll do for your radio audience, George, for those companies that have sales of 25 or 30 million on up, we will see if we can, without any cost or obligation to them, give them a roadmap as to what the opportunities might be in terms of the current market strategy, the current value estimate of valuation range, since only the market will come up with the final price. And that's really very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they want to call you directly, where do they call you at?
Thank you. They can call me at 212-759-9080. All the calls are confidential. We're broker-dealers, and we don't advertise any company for sale. When they call us, the call and all the information we gather stays in-house. We evaluate each situation with a great deal of attention. Most of our staff are fairly senior people, and we have hands-on experience with operating companies, and we would be delighted to speak to any folks that are interested.
How many will get to actually talk to Eric?
That'll happen one of these days. I threatened him with a video appearance, and he is trying to lose some weight.
Tell him we'll give him a deadline on that, and we'll have to have him on the show with you. So
I would be delighted to bring him. He is a great storyteller. He'll amuse everyone. I guarantee you. It'll be a great show.
He's a master at it. So we'll make sure we get him on the show. Well, this has been sort of a different twist.
Yes.
If you will, on what we normally talk about in Just Ask George. You know, we're always talking about management and financing, and herein lies an opportunity for private business.
Absolutely.
So the timing is good. The timing is fantastic.
Lots of capital on the sidelines.
Right, right. Which is what we've been saying. We've said this on a number of shows. We've said how much capital is parked on the sidelines, and Philippe is verifying that for us in yet another milieu. So do you like that word, by the way?
I like milieu, and I love when he does that. There's all. I mean, you've got aging baby boomers, or the parents of them too, I guess. And the age wave is really. Is that part of what's propelling a lot of this? Is it just simply that?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point you raise. The founders of the company have usually worked their tails off to build the company, and what we're finding now is that there's a generational transfer. So the owners are faced with a situation where the new generation may not be working as hard, may not be quite as dedicated. And the owners are saying, the founders are saying, do I really want to leave my golden, my retirement years in the hands of these folks that may not be working quite as hard? So that is definitely an issue.
Yeah, kind of a different twist. Well, Philippe, thanks so much for joining us. We had some technical challenges in getting you connected today, and they were mostly at our end and some bandwidth issues, but you suffered through it as a true gentleman. And we're so happy you made it on the show today. And we'll be talking again. And just put Eric on notice that I don't necessarily, as you can tell by looking at me and my viewing audience, that I don't worry generally about my weight. I worry about it, but there's really not much I could do about it. So tell him he's only going to have a few weeks, and then we'll have him on the show. So however much he loses, he loses.
Listen, he is a terrific guy. He would be a great program. I'm going to
storytelling mode. So that's fantastic.
Thanks, Billy.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, appreciate you, and
another great show.
Another great
Dr.
show,
George.
bud. Hey,
all right, we'll see you next time. Remember, it's www.bhcapitalltd.com. See you next time. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
For more information about George Lovato Jr. and BH Capital, visit bhcapitalltd.com. Check out more episodes of Just Ask George at justaskgeorgeradio.com. Just Ask George is produced by Steve Garth and is a production of BH Capital Ltd. All rights reserved.